The movie takes place in 1975 in the city of Phnom Penh in Cambodia. The Americans have finally left Phnom Penh, which was a safe zone, after the Vietnam War. The people in the city are happy and hope for a better life where they don't have to worry about crime. A family of 9 people called the Lungs is among the people who are having a party. Pa is the father. He is a well-off officer in the National Armed Forces and takes good care of his family. The main character is Long, the middle child. She is a young girl with big dreams who is still learning how to live. The young family is having a normal day, but they don't know what life has in store for them. Outside, people are having a party because the war is over and peace has been brought back to their city. They don't know, though, that a communist group called the Khmer Rouge is planning to attack the city, taking advantage of its unstable political situation. The Khmer Rouge force breaks up the party and tells the people to leave their homes right away. Like everyone else, the young family has to take only the most important things with them and leave everything they've ever worked for behind. So that they don't get hurt, the Cambodian troops are stripped of their clothes and guns. The communist group now has full power over the city and its people. As refugees, thousands of people go to the camps in the woods to try to find a safe place to live. The young family also gets in their car and joins the crowd. After driving for half an hour, one of the rebels stops them and tells them to leave their car behind. He says that it will slow them down and make the soldiers defending the city more useful. Pa Ung knows they are being robbed, but he has to go along with it to protect his family. As they move along, the rebels begin to separate the regular people from the government workers. They don't want anyone from the government in the refugee camp to keep an eye out for spies. Pa is worried that they will kill him if they find out he is in the National Army Forces. So, when no one is around, he throws his state card into a fire at night. Long sees him in the act but doesn't say anything because she's confused. Like her brothers and sisters, she doesn't understand how serious the situation is and thinks they'll be back home in a few days. After 3 tiring days, when their trip still hasn't come to an end, Long stops in her tracks. Pa asks her where they are, and she says that they should be home by now. The man chooses to be honest and tell her that they won't be home soon, but he wants her to know that he will keep her safe no matter what. A few hours later, they reach a checkpoint where soldiers take everything from them. Long sees her favorite dress being thrown into a basket and all of their money being taken away. The rebels say that they are starting a new government in Cambodia where there will be no classes, no need for money, and everyone will be the same. Pa lies about what he does for a living so he won't get caught, and he watches as some of his co-workers who used to work for the government are taken hostage. By that afternoon, the family has finally made it to the country and can see how different it is from the luxurious life they had in the city. Long notices that the respected monks are being made to work in the rice fields. Just as the little girl starts to get scared, they see someone they know in the crowd. Their farmer Uncle Lee from the country has come to help them. He brings them to his house and lets them stay with him so they can start over. When little Long sees the house, she says that her uncle is poor. In turn, her father explains to her that their family is also poor and that they will have to learn to live in a different way. A few days later, Long overhears the seniors talking and finds out that Uncle Lee supports the communist group, which he thinks will save them from the Americans. She is worried that he backs the people who kicked them out of their house but doesn't say anything. The next day, their family is told to leave because if the rebels find out Pa was in the army, Lee's family will also be in trouble. The Youngs know that Lee is in a tough spot, so they pack up and head to the closest refugee camp. In the middle of the night, a car picks them up, and by morning, they are at the camp. They soon find out that the camp is like a jail with strict rules that the communists think are revolutionary. First, they are told to dye their clothes black to show that they are equal to everyone else. The girls' hair is then cut, and they are put into groups to do hard work all day long. Refugees of all ages spend hours planting grains and veggies in the field, but when it's time to harvest, all the food goes to the rebels and the refugees are left with nothing but scraps. One night, Long sees a fellow refugee get killed because he used modern medicine on his dying son instead of the medicine that the regime approves of. After 2 months of living like this, the family is getting weaker and more sick. Then, one day, it is said that the communist army fighting all over the state needs help. All of the young orphans, including the 3 oldest young children, are asked to join the force. The last time the family will ever be together is marked by a hard goodbye. Long feels like her life couldn't get any worse now that she lives with just her parents and 3 brothers, but she has no idea what the future holds for her. The kids work 10 hours a day in the field without food or water, but life goes on as usual. Long's sister is caught putting a single bean into her mouth during harvest time. She is hit and yelled at for making a mistake, but luckily, the rebel doesn't tell the camp boss. We see Pa put a handful of rice into a pouch at night. He gets some every day to make sure that his family will always have something to eat. During the night, the family roasts bugs and eats them, thinking they are eating the chicken soup their mother used to make. That night, Long thinks of eating her favorite ribs, and in a panic, she eats the rice she had saved for a rainy day. When she did it again in the morning, her brother hit her, but Pa stood up for her and kissed her. As time goes on, the family finds out that one of Young's brothers died in a fight. Long sees her mother start to cry and thinks back to how she was before their lives changed. The death hurts the family, but before they can get over it, they face another problem. Pa gets a call to go to the city to fix a bridge that is broken. Everyone knows that once he goes, there's no chance he'll come back. As the kids watch, the parents say goodbye with tears in their eyes. The kids don't understand how serious the situation is. That night, Long thinks that the rebels will kill her father. They throw him into a pit full of dead bodies, and she sheds one tear as she realizes she will never see him again. A few weeks later, the kids go 2 days without eating anything. The mother takes a chance by telling her hungry children to steal food from the yard. But when Long's brother is caught and beat, the plan goes horribly wrong. When their mother has had enough, she tells them to run away and find other places where they can live better. The kids are supposed to go their different ways and tell people they are orphans. The best way for them to stay alive is to never tell anyone their real name and do what the rebels say. In the next hour, each kid packs a picture of his or her family and leaves behind the mother and the youngest child. When the sun comes up, the three find a rebel peed-on figure of a god with his head cut off. Before Long's brother leaves her and her sister to go on his own trip, they pray to the statue. A few miles later, the girls run into a group of soldiers, who show them the way to the nearest camp. When Long finally gets there, he finds out it's a camp for kids where they learn how to spread communist propaganda. She and her sister make up names so they can live with the other kids. Since they are now seen as rebels of the future, their food and way of life are better than before. They don't train all day, instead, they are given set schedules and made to be focused. The head soldier sees that Long is good at making friends and has a fighting spirit. So, she is sent to a camp where kids learn how to be soldiers, far away from her sister. Through the training, Long learns how to fight, shoot, and set up mine traps. One day, she gets to spend a few hours with her sister at the other place. Seeing the chance, she puts food in her scarf and goes back to the first camp, where she hopes to find her mother. To her surprise, though, both the camp and her home are empty. She thinks about her mother being in a pile of dead people and her little brother or sister crying. Later, a woman tells her that the soldiers killed all the weak people and took away the rest of the refugees. No one knows where they went, and Long can't find the mother even if she's still living. In the end, the girl goes back to her camp without being able to do anything. On the same night, Vietnamese shells hit the camp. Everyone wakes up because of loud noises and blasts, which make them want to run into the woods. Many young kids died because they were not ready for the real war. Long's main goal is to find her sister, but she can't do that because of all the chaos. In the end, the camps are torn down, and the people flee the war. The next day, everyone sets out to find a safe place to stay. Long is surprised when she runs into both of her brothers, and the three of them have a sad moment together. People walk for hours until they reach a temporary refugee camp run by Vietnamese troops. Even though they are on the other side, the Vietnamese help the hurt by giving them modern medicine and medical care. The kids make friends with another group and decide to take it easy for the rest of the day. But their comfort doesn't last long, because just a few hours later, the communists attack the camp to get back at them. The innocent citizens run into the woods, but when they get there, they find the mines that Long and her friends put there while they were training. Long sees bombs kill innocent people and thinks it's her fault. She stops in her tracks when she sees it, and it makes her think about everything that has happened to her. At that moment, the young girl realizes that violence has taken away her youth, and she decides to do everything she can to make her life better. In the next scene, the fight is over and the refugees are making their own camp. They caught a commie terrorist and are making him feel bad about what he did in public. Young Long feels bad for the man because he reminds her of her father. People leave the prisoner to die in the sun, but she stays with him for a long time, thinking about her family and comparing his position to theirs. After a few weeks, the scene changes. Since the Vietnamese troops beat the rebels, life has been better for the brothers. One day, the two older brothers who made it through the camps find their family and bring them back together. The last scene takes place in the present, when the young children are adults. They are very thankful that they were able to live in such a dangerous place. We see them pray to a group of monks as the movie comes to an end.